video, I'll show you how to make these fairy gardens in a jar. I love the way these turned out, and they're absolutely full of possibilities, and you can just make them any way you like. What I love about these especially is that they're going to continue to evolve and grow and change. So when you're done with them, it's not really the finished product. You get to enjoy these for years to come because they sustain themselves indefinitely. Some of them can keep going for years if the conditions are right. If you want to see more videos like this one, let me know in the comments below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification button next to it so you get updates when I post new videos. Follow me on social media at Katrinaosity. Check out my podcast at MDXpods.com, and if you enjoy this video, please click the like button. It really helps me out. Before you start on your jars, you'll want to go out into nature and gather your supplies. My husband and I went to a local park and we got some ground covering, some moss from a stream that was nice and gooey and funky looking, and we just gathered all these little bits and pieces and put them into a jar. We made sure to get some dirt, some rocks for drainage, tree bark, any small plants that we saw lying around, and just some interesting things. One thing you can also do, which will help purify the water in the bottom of your jars, is to gather some carbon or spent charcoal from one of the barbecues. In ours we found a few small pieces, but I also have a substitute if you can't find any. At home you'll need other supplies like water that has been boiled and cooled, as well as your jars. I like these small jars from Otis Classic, and I got these from MBBB Trading, and I will have the link in the description below. I also gathered all of my bits and pieces and put those on the counter where I can grab them easily. If you weren't able to find any charcoal, you can use capsules with activated charcoal and just break open a couple of them into the bottom of your jar. The first things you'll want to add to the jar are some large rocks for drainage. This way any plants that you have in there won't get waterlogged. Then you'll want to put some nice dark soil on top of that that's nice and rich in nutrients. Then add any of your ground covering, and you don't have to add this through the entire jar. You can leave sections of it open, or you don't have to use any ground covering at all. I made most of my jars completely different from one another. Then I added this sprig that was a sucker on the trunk of an evergreen tree, and added a couple tablespoons of water and put the lid on. You want to make sure that your lid is on tightly and forms a nice seal. That way the water won't evaporate out of the jar and it will be able to sustain its own little ecosystem. In this jar I actually crushed up some of the carbon that we were able to find at the park and put it into the bottom. Then I followed with soil, some ground covering, and a few other fun little plants that we found laying around. Just know that if you put flowers in your jars, they will eventually die and decompose, but that's part of what's fueling the life cycle in the jar. They may also release some seeds that could grow into plants. I like the rock that I added into this one on the top, and I added a little bit more water to this one just to see how that experiment goes. In the next one, I did a little bit more of a swampy effect, so this one has more layers of soil, and I noticed that there were a couple little bugs in there, so I'm curious to see how those will develop and if they reproduce. And those are the finished jars. Just put them in a spot where they can get some sun and enjoy. If you notice that your water is completely evaporating out of the jars, you can always seal the lids with some wax or some hot glue. I managed to find several little critters stowed away in a few of my different jars, and it was really exciting to see them come out and sort of explore their new environment. There's always a possibility that they could spawn more insects, or they could just die and become part of the life cycle. This is, after all, the circle of life, and you're just putting it into a small little fairy garden to be able to observe it. Any matter in the jars will continue to grow, then die, then release carbon dioxide, which is then breathed in by the plants that are still alive, and continue the life cycle indefinitely. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more projects like this one, make sure you hit that subscribe button below, hit the notification bell next to it, and let me know you enjoyed this video by clicking that like button.